You are listening to a special edition of the Purdue Report. Mike Rich's reaction to Purdue's 82-51 win over Evansville in the season opener, only on the Central Indiana Sports Report. Welcome, Boilermaker fans, to the Central Indiana Sports Report for a special edition of the Purdue Report. No Jake Dunn tonight. He was unavailable, so filling in is our Pacers guy, Mike Rich, to react to number one Purdue's 82-51 win over Evansville, their 13th straight win in their season opener. Mike Rich, welcome, and your initial thoughts on the 25-26 top-ranked Boilermakers.
I just love that they're ranked number one in the nation. That's just super exciting to see the Boilermakers come out strong, minus Trey Kaufman-Renn, and still put up 82 points. They easily could have beat this team by 50 points. Missed a lot of easy layups right at the front of the rim. Beginning of the first half was a little slow start. Evansville kind of hung around for a while until Purdue went on about a 31-5 run into the second half and just took it away from there. And then when they started clearing the bench, just fantastic to watch. The crowd just seemed like they were pretty excited for the start of the season, and a lot of good things to come with the Boilermakers.
It's going to be a fun season. First game ever as preseason number one, as we mentioned, but they continue their dominance in the pre-conference. That's, I believe, 32-3 the last four seasons in the non-conference schedule, and all three of those losses came last year against a really tough schedule. Really tough schedule again this year. They play Oakland on Friday, and should be an easy win, although pretty good mid-major program. And then Thursday they are at Alabama, so big test early on. But if Fletcher Lawyer shoots like that, man,
he was on fire.
8 for 11 from the field, 7 for 10 from the three-point line, 7 for 8 at the free throw line. And like you mentioned, it was not a masterpiece of a game, but if Fletcher Lawyer is going to do that, I don't think they're losing.
I don't think anybody can beat him if Fletcher Loy does that, but I wish he would have went out making that three-pointer instead of airballing it. He only missed 3 of the 10 that he took, so I can't complain too much.
30 minutes for Fletcher Lawyer, one of the all-time great Purdue sharpshooters, without question. Who comes to mind when you think of the sharpshooters? Troy Lewis when we were growing up.
Yeah, Troy Lewis would be number one for me, I think.
Yeah, Carson Edwards a few years ago, of course. There have been some really, really good ones, including Robbie Hummel, who called the game tonight, one of the best shooters in program history as well. I'll tell you what, Fletcher Lawyer had a lot of wide open shots because Braden Smith can just find guys when they're open.
Oh, just fantastic. He probably could have had 4 or 5 more assists. He could have easily had 15 assists tonight.
But he finished with 6 points, 11 assists.
Yeah.
A little rough from the field. 3 for 9 from the field, missed both of his three-pointers. Best player in the country, and it was obvious, only scoring 6 points.
Again, if Braden Smith's getting 11 assists and Fletcher Lawyer's getting 30 points in a game, there's just no team that's going to be able to compete. 1 turnover, that's fantastic.
Only 7 for the entire team tonight. It's a good thing. Not a good opponent. First of all, Evansville had a couple of players out, but also going to be probably mid-pack Missouri Valley. Not a good opponent. Not going to learn a lot from that, but really good to see those two in particular, what we're going to get from those two. As you mentioned, the other part of the trio, Trey Kaufman-Renn out tonight, back and hip soreness. He had played 110 straight games without missing one, 75 straight starts. That streak comes to an end tonight. And starting in his place, Mike, was Jack Benter, which was a big surprise to me. Jack Benter was a redshirt freshman last year. I knew he was going to be a good player. I did not imagine that he was going to be starting at power forward for the number one team in the country as a freshman. I'll tell you that. And big night for him, man. 11 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, and just looked comfortable out there.
Yeah, just a great night, and just embraced the opportunity, and it definitely paid off. I think he'll see more time this year.
Yeah, I think no doubt he's part of the rotation. Real fast, Mike, let's talk about the rotation. You mentioned Jack Benter started in place of Trey Kaufman-Wren. Pretty clear that he's going to be part of the rotation as well. The other people getting minutes tonight, Oscar Clough started at center, and Daniel Jacobson got a lot of minutes. They combined for 20 points and 18 rebounds. But if you're going to point out a weakness tonight, Mike, they should have completely dominated Evansville inside, and they didn't. The rebounding was 40-40, and those guys, they've got to finish, and they've got to rebound. They were being out-rebounded by smaller guys at times.
I didn't know the exact statistic until you said it, 40-40, but you could just tell they were getting out-rebounded in situations they shouldn't have been. Braden Smith made just a fantastic move to the basket and leaves it just short, and I don't see that happening very often, but clean up a little bit, and I think they can learn a little bit from this game, and there's definitely going to be some rebounding drills coming in practice this week.
20 offensive rebounds for Evansville with their starting center out.
That's unacceptable, really.
Yeah, especially with 2 7-footers in there.
But we're working and we're struggling really hard to find some flaws in this team.
Yes, we are. Because neither one of them was bad tonight. It wasn't like both of them did some good things, but as I believe Robbie Hummel pointed out during the game, you play like that on the boards, you play like that, missing easy shots against Illinois or Michigan, you're losing.
You are, yep. And about any team in the conference is going to play better than Evansville.
Pretty much, yeah. Should mention for Evansville, Joshua Hughes had 15 points, AJ Casey 14, and Trent Hundley 9 off the bench, and James Dyson Murway off the bench had just 4 points, but 5 offensive rebounds, including and 7 total rebounds. It was 2 for 2 from the field, and it was pretty impressive. I don't think we're going to hear much from Evansville this year, but it's a program I'd like to see start to make its way back up to where it was in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, that'd be all right. Anytime Indiana team can get better.
Well, they just all stink, Mike.
Yeah.
I don't understand why all the small schools stink now. They used to all be good. Ball State and Evansville and Valparaiso, and they're just all really bad. It doesn't make any sense. The talent in Indiana's as high as it's ever been.
It is. It's extremely talented state for basketball.
Yeah, not much drop-off over the years.
No.
We mentioned they were 28 for 59 from the field. They actually, you see that and you usually think shot selection would be the problem, that they're shooting too many threes. They were actually 13 for 29 from the three-point line. So they were 15 for 30 inside, and they need to be better than that. But again, we're kind of picking at nits now, aren't we?
We are. Yeah, I think this was a good warm-up game for Purdue, and I think Oakland will give them a little bit of a challenge in the beginning, but again, they should probably blow Oakland out as well.
Oakland did give up 121 points in their first game of the season against Michigan, so should be interesting to see what happens there and be able to compare the two. The game is on Peacock 7 o'clock on Friday. And for us, Mike, that's high school football night, so we will not have a reaction podcast. However, next week on the Purdue Report, we will be talking about the game at Alabama coming up, and I think we're all pretty excited to see what happens in that one.
I think that'll be a good early season test. And
the game at Alabama is their only true road game of the non-conference schedule. All right, Mike, final thoughts on game 1 on the road to a Purdue Boilermaker National Championship.
we got a long way to go to that national championship, but I think this was a great start. They did exactly what they needed to do. They came in, they got a good warm-up game. They'll have another one coming, and then the true test will be Alabama. May give them a little bit of a challenge, but I think when we were going through this, we couldn't pick one or two losses for the season, so I still think it's going to be a fantastic season for the Boilermakers. As long as we go 2-0 against IU, that's all that matters to me.
Mike, thanks so much. Boiler up.
Boiler up.
Thanks so much to Mike Rich for filling in. Mike and I go back to the early 80s in our Purdue fandom. In fact, he and I and our best friend Craig Brunnemer were the only Purdue fans in our entire class, surrounded by Hoosiers. Jake will be back on Friday to preview the Purdue-Ohio State football game, and we will react to that one on Saturday evening or Sunday morning. And your next Purdue report will be next Wednesday. Thanks for listening. Please do us a huge favor and share this podcast with a Purdue fan in your life, and help us spread the word that the Central Indiana Sports Report is here talking about Central Indiana sports every single day. Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media. And I love Susie.